Hello and welcome to Intentionally Waiting, Series 1, Episode 12. Well, my friends, the time has come. This is the end of Series 1. Yeah, I know. This is the 12th episode and it is the last episode of this series. But it's not the last of me because I will be back in the new year with Series 2. And I'm sure Series 2 is going to be packed with stuff that I can't even tell you what it's going to be about because I've got no clue what it's going to be about. Just like I did not expect to be ending Series 1 like this or at this point. But anyway, here we are. And so I think that for the very last episode of this series, I just want to fill you in on what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. So the last episode, I talked about what happened when I went on a date with God. And the good thing is that I have been going on regular dates. Maybe I should call them meetups, not dates. I don't know, God might not like the word dates. Meetups with God, and basically setting the time aside. That was already in my calendar, and, just spending some time with Him. But what's happened is that over the period, I've kind of like got a little bit more intentional, a little bit more savvy, a little bit more kind of like, a little bit more knowing as to what it is I'm looking to achieve when I actually do sit down and share a meal with God. So today, I just want to take you through how I now navigate those periods, because it doesn't take away from my standard morning prayer or evening prayer or even during the day prayer. This is something additional, but I use them as a session to actually get deeper and get a little bit more understanding. So I'm going to take you through what I do. Well, I base everything on the Bible, so here is my Bible, although most of the time I am using the online version because it's a lot easier. But sometimes you just want to turn the physical pages of something, and it helps you to kind of like connect better. So at times I will do that, but most of the times I'm just using on my phone. And Google's a great thing, right? Because with Google you can figure out so many different things. So I use Google. So what I do is rather than go from the beginning of the Bible to the end of the Bible, and okay, just let me rewind a little bit, because I'm mentioning the Bible, you're probably thinking, how have I suddenly jumped to the Bible? So in the last episode, I was talking about seeking God and seeking the kingdom, and going in line with the passage that says, seek the kingdom and its righteousness, and all other things will be added to you. So when I had the first meetup, I went and I was seeking the kingdom, trying to understand, well, what is this kingdom? What is it all about? Where is it? How can I find it? And then so then following on from there, it's like when I found the kingdom, and if you don't know where that is, then listen to a previous episode, and that will tell you exactly where the kingdom of God is. When I found the kingdom, it's about, well, okay, just like in anything, if you join a club, for instance, you want to know what that club's all about. You want to know who's heading up the club. You want to know what the promises that the club is going to offer you. So reasons for you to actually stay in that club, because, if it's not offering you the kind of things that you want, if you don't even like the leader of the club and you don't think that their ways are good ways, then you'd probably go, well, I don't want to be part of this club. So I've looked at it in that perspective in terms of the kingdom of God. So now that, I've gone into the realm and gone into God's kingdom, I'm like looking at it and thinking, do I like what I see? What is this kingdom all about? Do I actually like it? Do I know what are there rules and regulations to be part of this club? And also what's the ethos and things like that. So, if you picked up the Bible and went from start to finish, you'd probably find it somewhere. But then there's an easier way. So what I do is I start off with my questions. So get a piece of paper and I just jot down all the questions that I want to have answers to. And the first one is, I just want to understand a little bit more about God. What's God's character? So I want to know what God's character is, because it's his kingdom. Let me understand what his character is. The other thing that I wanted to know was, what are his promises? So what is it he's saying that, when I not only seek the kingdom, but when I am part of the kingdom, what are the promises? And then how do I walk my way through it? So, how do I get integrated within the kingdom? Because, when you join a club, you don't want to be sat on the sidelines. You actually want to be active in the club. I guess it's just like going to the gym. You don't want to join the gym and not go to the gym, although that's what I do. I join the gym, I don't go. Anyway, another story for another day. So, but you get the drift. You get what I'm trying to say to you. So once you've got all those questions down, then you can start getting them answered. And that's the beauty about it. And so what I then do is I go to Google and I start to write into Google all the questions. So for example, what are the promises of God? So what does God promise me? What does God promise me? And then you go to Google and you'll see a whole load of different things about what God promises. Sometimes it will say that, the first top 10 things that God promises. Sometimes it's a whole list. Sometimes it's 1,000 things. And it's just great because you can go, wow, he promises me this and he promises me that. So what I then do is I just generate from Google. I look at some of the Bible sites, and I kind of first of all, will figure out if I like what I'm looking at or if I don't like it. If it's not something that I kind of can relate to, I'd be like, well, I'm not going to listen to what they've said. I'm going to home in on another kind of site. So some of the good sites, especially if you're focusing on the Bible, is Bible Hub. That's really good. So I will look at that. And then what I will do is sometimes they do translation. So it's kind of this is the interpretation of what the Bible is saying. And then I'll go read the passage in the Bible. And so, for instance, promise of God is that, what are the promises of God? Okay. One promise that God says is he will never leave me nor forsake me. That is in the Bible. So when, seek God, he says he will never leave me nor forsake me. And I'm like, that's a natural good one. I like that. I like the fact that I'm part of a club where the head of the club says he will always be there. Regardless of what, he will always be there. Do you ever join the, whenever you go to I don't know, holiday camps or something like that, and the person showing you around will just say to you, I will always be here. Whenever you need me, just call me and I will be here. Do you know how great you feel when that happens? You're like, wow, I've got somebody that's on tap. So when God says, I will never leave you or forsake you, it's just like, well, you know what? I like that. I want to be in a situation where God, the creator of heaven and earth, the owner of the kingdom, says he will always be there. So, and then that's a promise. But then, when you get a promise or when you read something in the Bible, it's great for you to read it and go, yeah, and just accept it. And I think God would love it if you would just accept it, read it and go, yep, I accept it. But we are human beings, and human beings always are curious about certain things. There's never a time when we're like, yeah, I'm just going to accept that. Whatever you're saying, I'm just going to accept it. We always want to test it, right? And the beauty is about, God has actually said, test me. So there's so many places in the Bible you see, and God will say, test me, test me on this. If I say this, test me on this. And there's so many situations where you can go, oh, okay, God, you said I should test you. I'm going to test you. So if God says he will never leave me nor forsake me, I want to be sure, is that truly the case? God, are you always here? So, and one way in which I figured that out is that I talked to God. I was like, God, are you here? Are you here? Can you hear me? And I just feel that sense of he's always around me. So, in me testing that, I'm like, well, actually, that's true. And then after I've got that truth, I then move on to something else. And then I just go through the whole process again. So it's not, so the way I'm doing it and the way I'm explaining it to you, and I hope I'm explaining it right, is I would literally open up my Bible. I will go to the passage or the verse which answers the question that I'm asking. And I've figured that out because I've gone onto Google. Then I read it, and then I kind of like, almost assimilate it, like meditate on it, just so that I can feel the essence of it. And then I go and test it just to check to see whether it's actually the truth or not the truth. And so far, I've been doing a lot of testing. I've been doing a lot of reading and speaking and testing. And I think it's helped in a lot of things. It's helped in my understanding of who God is. It's helped in the understanding of what it's like to actually be part of his kingdom and be an active part of his kingdom. It's helped me in terms of, casting all my troubles to him, because that's also another thing that he says, if you've got troubles, cast them unto him and he will give you rest, he will give you peace. And I've had situations in the past couple of weeks where I've really panicked, situations where things have just gone wrong. Like I've got one at the moment that's going on in my personal life. I tell you everything about my personal life, but this one I can't quite say yet. And you'll know why, but I had a huge disappointment, and I didn't know why. I thought everything was going well and smoothly, and I was at the right place at the right time, and things seemed to be going well, and it all came crashing down on one day. And when it came crashing down on one day, there was literally no going back. There was just nothing that I could do to stop it. And, in that moment, I needed to feel at peace. I needed to feel like I wasn't on my own. I wasn't going through it on my own. I needed to feel like God had a plan, because in the Bible, God says, I know all the plans I have for you, not to harm you. And I'm like, well, okay, if this plan is not to harm me, then how come it hurts? How come I feel this way? How come I wasn't pre-warned about it? So all of those kind of things, and reading and going and listening to things and reading things about the promises that God has in my life and about the statement God has about me has really helped me over the last couple of weeks to get to a position of strength. So, and I know that it's not through my own doing it, because left to me, I'd be wrapped up under my duvet covers, and decided not to come out for at least a month. But here I am, and I've got a smile on my face, and the reason is because I feel totally at peace. I've given everything to God. I've just said, God, take it and you deal with it. The plan for my life, and the direction. And sometimes I think that just because I can see something, I think I know where it's going, where in actual fact I have no clue, because at any point in time it can just be a 360 degrees U-turn. So that's kind of like what's happened, but I am still hopeful, still faithful, and yeah, I think that in a way I've probably been prepared for it. So the whole, if you go through this season, from where I started from to where I am now, I'm in a total different place. And even though I started off thinking, it was about journey A, it seems to be that I've been prepared for journey B that I didn't even realize that I was on. So in that whole process of me getting through certain elements, jumping through certain hoops, reflecting, and handing everything over to God, he's been able to work with me so that when I did get a blow, which just came out of left field, like that. I was able to deal with it, not in my strength, but in God's strength. So that's a huge plus for me. So yeah, in essence, I am actually ending this season on a high. It's not a low, but it's probably not the end that you would have expected at this point in time. But we've got season 2 to come, so you never know what goodies are in season 2. I'm looking forward to season 2. If you've got any comments, if you've got any questions, there's things that you really want to know about me or about what's going on in my life, then just, drop a comment, let me know. I will be here to answer them. I'm an open book, so yeah, sometimes my open bookness can get me into trouble, but but nevertheless, I'm still an open book. That's what it's all about. It's really about sharing and showing up for myself and for you, and hoping that I can make a difference in somebody's life somewhere when you read it, and to encourage you to know that you're not alone, that I am, an ordinary person walking through life in an ordinary way, and having super ordinary experiences. So I'm going to end it there. And before I go, because I always do this, I always come up with a title for my podcast. And this one, I'm going to say it's how to dig deeper with God. How to dig deeper. How to dig. How to dig deeper with God. I may use that actually. If you notice, I did use the last one, so that's a plus. I may use this. If not, it'll be something else. But anyway, you get the essence of it. And yeah. And also, I want to say a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you all. So if you're not watching this in December, it kind of won't make sense. But know that I did record this in December. And I know there's my room's not in vision at the moment. That's got all my lights and my Christmas tree and all that kind of stuff. It is in the background somewhere. But yeah, I just hope that you all have a happy season with your families and with your friends. And, you chin up and know that you are definitely worth it. And you have been created for a purpose and for a reason. And, whatever season you're in, there's always another season. And on that note, I'm going to bid you all farewell, goodbye, and I will see you in season 2. Take care. Bye.